There's this book of wisdom from ancient Israel called the Book of Ecclesiastes. It's written by a sort of religious philosopher called Kohelet, a Hebrew name that means the teacher. Ecclesiastes chronicles Kohelet's search for meaning in all aspects of his life. He tries to find meaning in his work. He tries to find meaning in his wealth, in sex, in hedonism. He dips his toe into every possible pond, so to speak. And with a shiver, he looks at us and says, meaningless, meaningless. It's all meaningless. It's a pretty dark outlook, and it might leave us despairing, except that the phrase meaningless is actually an English translation of a very obscure Hebrew word. The word is chavel. Literally, chavel means smoke or vapor. Everything, Kohelet says, that I thought would give my life substance turned out to be vapor. We translate it meaningless or sometimes vanity. But what exactly does Kohelet mean when he says that life is chavel? Well, one of the best explanations I've ever heard is that Kohelet uses the word chavel sort of like the 20th century French existentialists used the word absurd. Said Camus, the world in itself is not reasonable. That is all that can be said. But what is absurd is the confrontation of this irrational world and the wild longing for clarity whose call echoes in the human heart. For Kohelet, Havel is a way of speaking about this, the strangeness of the world, how it refuses to line up with that wild call for clarity that echoes in our hearts. Oh, we see this all the time. One man eats vegetarian all his life, exercises regular at the gym, and dies early, while another man smokes like a chimney, drinks like a fish, and lives to a ripe old age. That's chavel. It's absurd. Did you go to a high school where all of the nicest girls dated the biggest jerks? Did you ever wonder why the more time-saving gadgets we get, the less free time we actually have at our disposal? Did you ever wonder why the person most likely to succeed is often the last one actually to make it? All of this, Kohelet would say, is absurd. It's not that life is meaningless. It just refuses to line up with our rational expectations of cause and effect. And this is the thing, and the Creator made the world this way so that we would learn to receive life as it comes from His hand and not buy into the lie that we are in control of how it unfolds. You see, recognizing this, the absurdity, the chavel of things, is actually a path to great wisdom. Because when we are able to accept that there will always be something somewhat absurd in the outcome of our best efforts, that the Creator's logic is deeper and higher and wiser than anything we could hope to grasp with our finite human reason, when we can get to that place, it frees us simply to be who we are in this moment and to take the world as it comes in this moment, and not to waste time begrudging or fearing or regretting things that are, in the end, they are chavel. And this is serenity. At least that's what Kohelet found. A man can do no better, he said, than to eat and drink and find satisfaction in this life. Like all things, he said, this too is from the hand of God.